get our audience involved. Let me ask you, you defeated Kingsley Moghalu to become the candidate of this party. Has he been campaigning with you?
Unfortunately, he has not. But the truth is that primaries happened several months ago. There are too many issues bedeviling Nigerians right now. So I don't want to discuss Moghalu as an aspirant in my primaries. That happened several months ago.
Okay. But there are other issues we see. If you Google your name, you see issues with the party. There's division in the party. How is it playing out? How is that impacting your campaign?
So I spoke extensively about when I said speaking about what the crisis in my party. And so what has happened is that I entered a party that like a lot of the smaller parties we have in Nigeria. What you'll find is that they are set up there just to negotiate with the bigger parties. They have no real intention of running elections. And so they take advantage of candidates like myself, right? So when you come in there, what happens and what you will see happen is before elections, you will see them trying to align with the bigger party. They take money from them and say they have endorsed them. Just a few minutes ago, before I just joined this program, I was in a chat group with the Guba candidates of my party, who 90% of them are more or less placeholders. And someone posted a chat there saying that, how they've made arrangements to go to Mina to discuss with a servant of the people in terms of the direction who they are going to align with and endorse, right? Then someone quickly realized that I was on that group and they deleted me, but I had already seen that they are in Mina right now. Guba candidates of my party from the north, they are in Mina right now trying to negotiate to get something, but because they are real placeholders. So that's the tragedy of small parties. So Nigerians will look up and say, these older parties, PDP, APC, and I say to Nigerians, it's not about parties really, because all these parties are really the same. It's about Nigerians, who we are as a people. Self has killed Nigeria. People do stuff for selfish reasons, and that's what I see in most of the parties. So it's a major crisis within my party. You will see people, and let me speak about young people. Young people cannot make change in Nigeria if they choose to do things the way the older generation have done things. Shortcuts will never get you anywhere. Principles continue and will continue to matter if we need to get things right in Nigeria. There are some candidates within my party who, because they want to get into office, so what they will do is they believe, APC is popular in my area. They will have their posters and put the APC candidate and their own pictures there, so that people will vote for them. Or they believe that Peter Obi is popular, and you see them put Obi's picture up, even when Obi has a candidate in the same election, Labour Party has a candidate in the same election. And it's sad because the young people who believe that they are the ones going to rescue Nigeria, they carry a huge moral burden in their approach to trying to get power, which seems to signpost to most people that they are no different from those who they are trying to replace. We need to go back to the drawing board. We need to understand that, you know what, and I say this to everyone all the time, I am desperate. I'm not desperate to be president of Nigeria, but I am desperate to change Nigeria. And because I'm not desperate to be president of Nigeria, there are certain things I will not do. I will not be buying votes. I will not be paying to get the poor masses to come to a rally. I will not do things that don't show me as different from those who I'm contesting against. It's not that important for me to be president. If I can't be president in a clean way, ultimately it means that God, the giver of power, doesn't want me in that office. I have my private sector life. I'll go back to it, and I believe that you can institute change through different things, through different activities. You can institute change in your house just by your actions, by who you are. And I believe that if as Nigerians, as individuals in our different spaces, we start trying to change this attitude of self, we destroy it and we start looking at the collective as we're building a better nation, about what we can do for the next person, not for ourselves, but how we can get Nigeria right. Nigeria will get better. Our youths are getting it wrong with this approach, and it's sad.
Okay. I know our people are already in the studio. They are waiting. I will reserve the right to ask you more questions as we go along, but I want to bring them on. While I'm bringing them on, I want you to talk about the media a little bit. I know you run the Roots TV. You are the owner of Roots TV. What has been your experience being in the media and trying to campaign, especially when you need the media to project your campaign? You know, what is the experience like?
I will say this candidly. The framers of our constitution, they envisage that where the executive is failing, that they have the legislature there as a check and balance. If the legislature is failing, they have the judiciary. But where the judiciary is failing, then they have the media, the press, as a custodian of the values of society to protect society. But where the media has failed, society then fails. That's what has happened in Nigeria. The media has failed. The media is largely in the pockets of politicians. In this electoral season, they did a better job than most because they tried to give more airtime to candidates from smaller parties and what have you. But the media immediately starts spinning a narrative after the primaries. And what you will see, the first week after the primaries, what was dominating all the headlines, they were showing poor people. A 4-horse race. Kachikwu, Tinubu, Okonkwo, and Dumebi. So in so doing, they told Nigerians that the remaining 14 candidates are not ready. They are just fillers. They're not really candidates in this election. We understand what is subliminal persuasion. You see something all the time, you hear something all the time, you start believing that this is the reality. And that is why most Nigerians, even when they see and hear us, they don't see and hear us because they have a picture in their minds of those 4 candidates. That's a tragedy. The media did this. Now, I'll also say this. If you understand what you are a journalist, you practice in Nigeria before, what we call the brown envelope system in Nigeria, where anytime you need to address a press conference or you need to incentivize the media. This started happening because media owners were not paying their staff. And they seem to encourage people, I'm giving you an ID card, go out there and make your money any which way you can. And this has now destroyed Nigeria. It's become a practice. That means that in Nigeria, most stories are paid for stories. We can never get Nigeria right without the media. I keep on appealing to the media that they owe it to Nigerians to save Nigeria. Anything you try and do outside of them will not work because they take us into the homes of people. And if we look at new media also, it's not different. Because what they do, they took it a notch where all they seem to do is blackmail people, put up stories against people, libel them, get money from them, pull down those stories. And then you have a situation where people now have apathy to news. They don't know what to believe and what not to believe. The media needs to rescue Nigeria from this calamity that seems to befall us.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's invite our audience to weigh in. Please, when we call on you, please make it go straight to the question. No much of comments. If you have a comment, just make it brief so that we can get as many people as possible. Let me start with you, Igbo Basic. You're first. Unmute yourself.
Yes, I just did. Dumebi, Kachikwu. What a brilliant mind.
Thank you very much.
What a brilliant mind you are, but you're speaking out of near purity. It is scary. I've been listening to you. I don't even know where to start, but let me try the best I can. In the Nigerian context, I noticed you went to University of Benin. And I also, where did you do your National Youth Service Corps? That's one. You spoke about a few issues, including the exchange rate, the security situation, and then you talked about the other candidates who are in the race. My question to you is, somewhere listening to Sowole Morale, and you are in the media. I'm also in the media, by the way. The media that I have practiced is Igbo Basics, and it comes with its appendages. Our motto is custodians of the conscience. So I see a lot of purity out of what you have presented. You talked about the export situation in Nigeria. I had experience with Nigerian Export Promotion Council. All that wrapped into one. In our times, we bought money, 42 kobo to 1 naira, no, to $1, 42 kobo to $1. That was what I bought money for to come to the United States. I'm on my second missionary journey to the United States. I did the National Youth Service Corps, University of Port Harcourt, Northern Feathers, 1981-82. So I do have that certificate of national service. After listening to you, the same question that I posed to Amoyele is the same question I'm going to pose to you. I know a friend of mine, Peter Umade, former Chief Judge of Anambra State, a brilliant mind also, is running out there. Amoyele is running and you are running. I'm barely looking at you. You are not, there's no airbrush. You are who you are. There's no makeup to make you what you are not. That is one encouraging image that we can see. Bold as you are in our presentations, everybody in the race now, including you, is quite capable of winning the race if we subtract all the monkey hands in the soup. If you find out that you're functioning with Kingsley Moralo, I saw the way you handled that particular question. I know Kingsley Moralo. It's an Aba brought up. We all grew up in Aba. I have not met you, but by the grace of God, I will meet you one day. If Nigeria presents a first 11, a true first 11, we always win. That was demonstrated in 1996, Atlanta, where Nigeria took the Olympic gold. Because Nigeria presented a formidable force. I never knew anything about Dati, Yusuf, until this time around. So what I'm saying is that there are so many brilliant minds like you, like Kingsley Moralo, and the rest of you in the race. The question is, in forming alliances, we cannot just stay in our lane on our own and expect to make a change in Nigeria. If you realize that before the finish line, the rest of them have not broken their legs, the old soldiers are still in the race. A friend of ours Dr. Kachikwu and Akwenze, other folk other than you, we tried to run him through the party that you are leading now. But he went to Nigeria. In fact, we tried to shop him through SDP.
Igbo Basic, please, can you get to the question, because there are a lot of people and we don't want to.
I have packed my questions into
no, please, get to the question so that we can get other people involved, please.
So our brother Dumebi, if you find that at the finish line that you are not going to become the president of Nigeria in this particular dispensation, would you be prepared to align with the younger folks? I'm not talking about the older folks. I'm not talking about Atiku. I'm not talking about the man who is already in ancestral land, which is Jagabo. Not talking about those. I'm talking about, would you be willing to align with the likes of Peter Obi, you, Kingsley, the rest of you that we find that are very brilliant? Can you all please join forces with somebody like Peter Obi to bring Nigeria the new birth that we expect?
All right, thank you. All right, so do you want to answer one question at a time, or you want us to go three at a time?
Let me just, his question speaks to alliance, and let me just quickly answer that, but we'll probably take two questions or three questions at a time, depends on the structure of the question. About alliance, thank you very much for your question. About alliances, at the finish line, there are no longer any alliances, because you have gotten to the finish line, and Nigerians then decide who they want to lead them in the next 4 years. So that's what happens at the finish line. If your question is, before we get to the finish line, in the next couple of weeks, am I prepared to enter an alliance with Peter Obi against PDP or APC? The answer is no. And I will explain why. I am an Igbo man from Delta State. Anambra State happens to be my next door neighbor. I know the tragedy of the Igbos in Nigeria, what we have suffered, and most of what we have suffered is attributed to our past political leaders and their performance while in office. And if we even look at the crisis we have in Igbo land today and how these leaders have managed that crisis that has destroyed the economy of that place, it speaks volumes about our leaders. Now, if we have not been able to, as Igbo leaders, manage that crisis, I worry about promoting someone to the highest office in the land who has no clear-cut vision or has not done anything in a crisis that seems to have his state as the heartland. But beyond that, I will also say this, beyond that sort of alliances, right? Peter Obi as governor of Nigeria, in 8 years as governor, was the only governor in Nigeria who didn't have the handicap, the yoke of a party structure to stop him from performing. If you understand party structure in Nigeria, what APC and PDP, as a governor, and the hangers on the people in that party who hold on to you, who depend on you for their means of livelihood, children's school fees, contracts, and what have you. As a governor, he largely rode into office on the church, and the people gave him the vote. So he didn't have that ABGA really, who was in ABGA as a structure to stop him from performing. The truth is that if Obi had performed, we will not have the crisis we have in Igbo land today. The challenge most people have had in speaking to the Obi issue is because if you see a well-packaged product, and if you see the militancy, that seeming militancy behind people supporting him, and when you want to speak, knowing how people come against you, people don't want to speak or they're afraid to speak. Why am I running? Because I remember 8 years ago, leading up to the elections then, seeing how Buhari was packaged, seeing Nigerian youth saying change, 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 change. Never again, anybody but Jonathan. Even a goat is better than Jonathan. They put Buhari in tuxedos. They gave Buhari the Igbo, this Igbo cap to wear and Igbo dress to wear. Changed his garbs, but he didn't change the man. 8 years later, our nation is almost finished. So when we see things that are not right, we should speak. I'm not comfortable about this. I'm not going to go with the mob or the multitude to say, oh, because they're all saying this. I need to ask critical questions. I always said this, that were I to have been in a debate with other candidates, right? And I see a candidate who, as far as I'm concerned, brings a worldview different, better, brings solutions better, stronger arguments. But what, as a businessman, why am I punishing myself running a race? But I would rather align or support that person because I'd rather still be in the private sector. I am running for office because I cannot tell my children the same story my father told me. It will get better. It will only get better if we do something about it. That's why I chose to be in the race. It's difficult to be in this race because let me tell you what I have seen is that Nigerians that you believe that you are fighting for us, for all of us as a people, because of the apathy they have to governance, politics, elections, and if they take a mindset, and this vocal minority, when they come after you, ask yourself, well, if I were to have stayed in my house, I won't have to deal with this. For how long can I continue to move my children from country to country? To live apart from my children, to get home to an empty house, because I'm afraid that if I leave my children here, one day I'll come back home and the driver will say they took your children on the way back from school. I said to do something about this and fight for my country. So I will get to the finish line. I want it to be told, I want it to be said that Nigerians had options. And when they make their decision, they made their decision willingly. They chose who they want to choose. So whatever we have to deal with in the next 4 years, I will open our eyes because we know that this is what we have to deal with. Let me end by saying this. When I speak about P2B and about his performance and what have you, I will tell you this. My experience or what I've seen about this, the candidates, the older candidates, I don't believe these people are evil. I believe, like all of us, we have our strengths and we have our weaknesses, we have our flaws, we have what makes us good. I believe that he's a first-class individual who also has his flaws, just like we all do. My worry, my fear is this, that does he have what it takes to get Nigeria to the next dispensation? Does Tinubu have it? Do I have it? The mistake we all make as Nigerians is because we are championing for a hero. We fail to understand that till we all, as Nigerians, as individuals in our small places, decide to be part of this process, decide to contribute, to make changes in our spaces, when we all decide to be heroes in our little spaces, that's the day Nigeria will get better. If even Obi were to be an angel sent from God to Nigeria, if we as individuals don't make the change we need to make, Obi cannot perform magic in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.